thank you all for coming out. I know it was very cold. Actually, I have to admit, I'm not in the best mood right now. I had a very difficult week. As you can tell from the bio that Tony just read, I'm always looking for new ways to express myself. It's almost like there are not enough media to get out all of the things that I have to say. Well, a colleague from my university's anthropology department told me about this thing that a lot of women do as a means of expressing themselves. Now, I don't know the official academic term, I don't remember what she said, but on the street, it's called a back tat. So I went to a friend of my friend, his name is Sully, he has this tattoo parlor on Sullivan Street, and I talked to him about what I wanted, and actually decided to, twist it around a little bit and create something new called a front tat. Well, after about 6 hours of intense pain, speaking of pain, please go to my website, www.academicdom.com, where you can read my poems, download the first chapter of my novella, or schedule a dominatrix session Monday through Thursday until 10 p.m. Anyway, after hours of pain and suffering, and there was even a little bit of bleeding, I looked at what he did. He botched it. He just completely ruined it. This is what he gave me. Do you see what he did? He gave me a simile, and I wanted a metaphor. Luckily, I came up with, it's a temporary solution, but I think it will work, at least for the time being. I have a Sharpie pen here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a comma after the word like, and one before. So, now, instead of saying, my love is like a red, red rose, it reads, my love is like a red, red rose. Now, I am going to have to get this filled in later, but not by Sully. Knowing him, he'd probably give me an ellipsis. But I'm actually not here to bitch about my tattoo. I'm here to read some things that I've written recently. I'd like to start with a poem that, funny enough, it's about another woman who was destroyed for expressing herself, Lot's wife. Now, I always found, I know, I always found Lot's wife an interesting character because I think there's so much to her story. I was always dismayed that she never got a name, so I gave her a name, Susie. Now, if you know your Bible, you know that Susie was fleeing the city of Sodom as it was being destroyed, and she was told not to look back. But she did, against everyone's advice, and when she did, she was turned into a pillar of salt. And we don't really know enough about her, but I always admired her courage for doing what she wanted to do, even though everybody told her not to do it. And so this is my little tribute to Susie. Obedience was never her strongest virtue, but she hid her rebellion well, or so she thought, because there was always a pair of eyes on her, even if they didn't belong to her husband. He was too busy to notice what she did until it was too late to save her. And though he did not let himself grieve until he was a safe distance from the carnage, he found the whole thing ironic, because in their pre-apocalyptic kitchen, she always knew how to make food taste better. Thank you. Is there any way to turn up these lights? Anyway. Oh, that's better. Thank you. Okay, now this next poem is what I hope will be the first in a very thriving genre. Now, for years and years and years, men have always written about their cars. Buying their car, driving their car, having sex in their car. Well, you don't hear a lot of women talking about their cars, and I always found that that voice was lacking, and so I decided to write a poem about the first car that I ever had. Now, to be fair, it wasn't a car that I bought. I was 17 years old when I got my first car. I didn't pay for it, my father did. He actually went through a tremendous financial windfall in the late 80s. He got a huge consulting check from his friend Charlie, who, where did he work? I think he worked at Lincoln Savings and Loan. That sounds about right. Anyway, Charlie, or as we called him, Uncle Chuck, gave my father this huge check, and my father celebrated, and one of the things he bought was a car for me. A few months later, though, he got rid of it, as well as all the paperwork about it, which I always thought was a little strange.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to recollect this car, I didn't have any historical records, so my memories are a little hazy, but this is what I remember about that first car, and so I'd like to share a poem with you. That Lincoln Town car was a cool shade of black, like death but shiny, with a smoking hot computer that told the time and did nothing else. The sound system that blasted my George Michael tape all the way to 6. My body swallowed up by those beige bucket seats, and when my chauffeur, Jenkins, peeled out of the driveway at 20 miles an hour, I thought I was the goddess of the gated community. The only thing separating me and Nirvana was that I was sitting in an air-conditioned backseat and not floating naked in a river of Grey Poupon. Thank you.